Gathering evidence for your SMART goal. All right, let's take a look at this. First and foremost, we are learning how to learn. The point of the SMART goal project is to practice practicing based on what we've learned from brain research and how to apply the right skill at the right time. And more importantly, focusing on one thing at a time, zeroing in on just one note at a time to play and to practice. So let's take a look at this. First off, it is part of the SMART goal project, and we're going to highlight right now the part right here where you're gathering evidence. So right here you can see we need evidence before we start and evidence after we're done. And so right now there's a number of ways we can do this, but let's first highlight some of the resources we have. So inside our Schoology folder, I have instrument practice resources. There's a number of things in here like ultimate guitar tabs, which looks like this. And you can see, based on which instrument, what notes are being played on the guitar neck. So this is a great resource, and you can slow it down. So you have speed down here, so you can play it at whatever tempo you can play cleanly. And that might be one note every 4 seconds or something. So just slow things down. And that's what you're going to play first, is you playing it as slow as possible so you can play it cleanly. And a small section is all we're really focusing on. Let's go back to our resources. So that might be something you use for practicing. Justin Guitar has resources, depending on your instrument. For audio recording, whether you're using Soundtrap or GarageBand, I have tutorials on how to use these tools. So you need to train yourself on some of these basic things, like how to get sound in and out of Soundtrap or GarageBand. I'm just reminding you that these resources are here for you, okay? And down here, we have more resources, Soundtrap and so on and so forth, that you can dig into, okay? And these are in our class folder. So just at the very top right here, okay? Now, let's go into the actual project write-up in Schoology. So you have the what, the why, the where, the how. Now, each step, now you've heard me say this numerous times, please read through the instructions, because a lot of the hiccups that you have or frustrations you may have is because you don't know what's going on. Totally get that. But reread the directions. And notice that I italicized the verbs here on what you're supposed to be doing. So we get down to research roles, research SMART goal, and the format for our SMART goals that we write out, which we've already done, and then we create the blog post. So here's the template that we're going to copy and paste over, which we just looked at. It's this right here, okay? And the directions at the top can kind of help you kind of move through. And then record current performance ability. Now, it says right here, create a SoundCloud account, but you don't have to. You can use your Google account for that as well. And I'm going to now highlight how to get the evidence out of some recording. You could use your phone. Record the audio of your phone of you playing something very slowly and as cleanly as you possibly can. Remember, slow it down until you can play it cleanly. That's going to be your first recording. And if you're using Soundtrap, let's go in here. Let's enter Soundtrap. You can take one of the red boxes that we have plugged by the computers, and we go here. And what you do is when you're coming in here, add new track, I could do just sound coming into the microphone on the computer, or I can plug the instrument in, and then you'll have to configure where the sound's coming from. And let me hear, let's create another track here. And what I want is bass amp. That's the best option. Okay, I click right here. This is where you're going to select the input. And right now I don't have a red box hooked up, but if a Scarlett is what it is, and so when you look at the Scarlett solo, you'll select that, and then that will be your input that you'll plug your guitar or bass into, and you use that. If you're playing drums or some other instrument that could be recorded in the real world, use your phone. Create an audio file, figure that out, and then email it to yourself, and then you'll have the audio file. If you're creating something in Soundtrap, just remember that when you're done, you're going to export it as an MP3 file. It could also be a WAV file. Either one of these works. And then you can upload that file to your Google account, your Google Drive, and then make it publicly accessible, and then put that link into your blog post. If you're in GarageBand, let's go over to GarageBand, and let's click here. Now again, if I'm using a red box, I'm going to pretend to do that. I have to set the input right here to the Scarlett solo, and then I plug my guitar or bass in, and then I can record. When I'm done recording, I go to share and export song to disk. And what you'll get is options here. Again, pick this, MP3 or WAV file. WAV is higher quality, but you can choose. AIFF is the same as WAV. This is Apple's protocol. This is Microsoft's protocol. WAV is more of an industry standard. Give it a title, and then you save it to your desktop. And it will export. It takes a little bit of time. And now you have the file on your desktop. You can then put that in your Google Drive and then place a link into your blog post. I presume you know how to use Google Drive and how to drag and drop files in there and then click on the file and then do some sharing. If you don't, please talk to your neighbor. This is something you should be well established with as a student here at school. If you want to use SoundCloud, you could create an account. It's not required, but SoundCloud is pretty neat and allows you 2 hours of storage. So that is a really cool option as well. All right, coming back full circle, when you're done, you will have a link here and maybe a brief description underneath it what we're listening to. And because you have this stuff filled out as well, we're going to know what we're listening to here. Your SMART goal is going to relate directly to what we're listening to here. Okay? It should make sense. All right, hopefully that was helpful on how to gather evidence, how to export it out, get it into Google Drive to share it, and then link it into your blog post right here for beginning evidence. And it's the same process when you're done with the final evidence. Thanks for watching.